Good morning. It is sunrise here in Las Vegas. I'm Aussie Expat, and today we're going to talk about movies I've watched in 2023. So first of all, this is now the Aussie Expat 2 channel, where I talk about anything I feel like. If you want watch content, that's my watches channel now. I'll give you a link down below. So for the past year and a half, so 2023 full year, I had this resolution where I would not watch anything unless it was like on a short list and curated, you know, so I wouldn't just watch whatever the streaming platforms have deemed cheap enough to put in front of my face for the month. And so that led me also, in combination with getting a much better sound system last year, really bumping things up and going into a full Blu-ray collection. So that's how I've been managing what I watch, the things I consume. I wanted to be a lot more deliberate about what I consumed, and so in general I steered clear of streaming, with a couple of exceptions, not many, but a couple. So the movies I watched last year, a total of 104 movies. So first reflecting on the volume, that seems like a lot. But I think if you factor in that, you know, I'm not watching really much of anything else, and you really look at like, okay, I am also doing it at a high degree, like a really good home theater system, really good sound. In some ways, a lot of these movies that I have seen before, I'm seeing like for the first time in like a real theatrical experience, you know, fully invested. And I'm pretty serious about like the movie watching when I get into it, where I will be, you know, I sit down, I try to make sure that I can see it in one go, not too many distractions, etc., etc. So this is like high quality movie going experience at the home. So roughly 2 movies a week. Ultimately, I don't think that's a huge amount. I've certainly bought more Blu-rays than 104 this year. So, you know, I do have to get through them eventually. Okay, so I'm also realizing that it's like 104. I'm not gonna do a 5-hour video for this right here, right now, right? So these movies are not going to get the attention they need individually, but on the ones that I thought really hold up, I'm going to do my best to show that to you guys. So let's take a look at the list as I go up. I remember the first one on the list was 007 Skyfall. And this is just going to go in alphabetical order. Skyfall is horrible, and the whole franchise is like moribund, even with Daniel Craig, and you know, a lot of people like Skyfall. I don't know why, ultimately. Like there's some quality elements in terms of just filmmaking, like it looks good, but it's just such terrible writing, honestly. It's really terrible. Like there's so many plot holes, unknown motivations, mystery where there really isn't mystery, IT guy plugging in, you know, a bad source of a laptop and just plugging it straight into their network. It doesn't make any sense. All this stuff, it's quite terrible. Let me just get this. Okay. So really, really moribund. 12 Monkeys. Man, that's a sci-fi classic. Watching this Terry Gilliam film, 12 Monkeys, for the first time since like the DVD, I thought maybe it wasn't going to be as good as I remember. I remember the second viewing I had of it, like when I was a kid, when it came out in the 90s, it blew me away. But, and then the second time around, I remember it not being like super hot like the DVD era. This time around, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Really mind-bending film, great performances, even from Bruce Willis. Just amazing film. I highly recommend 12 Monkeys. It really holds up. There's no like special effects and stuff like that in general in that movie, so There's nothing to sort of like cringe at. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. 127 hours. This is about that a hiker going to Utah and getting stuck. That's an amazing film. Another one by Boyle. Won't go at length on that one, but that one is a must-see. It's going to be hard to re-watch it, I think. I might have to stay on the shelf for like 5 years. 12 Monkeys is not one. I could probably watch it in another couple of years or even one. 1517 to Paris. So this is an amazing movie. 1517 to Paris. I'll probably watch that again in another year. Clint Eastwood directed, about a true story about 3 Americans who stopped a terrorist plot on a train. Like, they had AKs and stuff, and they wrestled them barehanded. And it's really the story of what makes Americans so exceptional. I'm gonna eventually get a little emotional. It's just recollecting some of these, but 1517 to Paris to me is like, it's really a lot about these boys' upbringing and what made the man out at the time that it was needed, and why Americans are so exceptional. So 1517 Paris, amazing, especially considering that the actors that played the three men were the actual men. So they were playing themselves in the movie about their story. Absolutely amazing that, you know, these performances came out of them. 300, Zack Snyder film. I remember not being too impressed the first time I saw it, and subsequent viewings being even less impressed. I think it is more amazing, like seeing it like big screen, big sound. It's definitely a movie that holds up. It gets a little bogged down in some like political B story type stuff. Alexander. So this is a movie that I hated. Like, I was a big Oliver Stone fan in the 90s, and when I heard he was doing Alexander with Colin Farrell, and Colin Farrell I was a super fan of, I still am actually, I was very, very down on this movie when it first came out. It seemed like just a complete mess. You know, there was no real involvement and emotionally and stuff like that. This is now the director's cut, or at least I think the 3rd version of it, ultimate cut or something like that. And it fully redeems itself. It has turned a movie from being like one of the worst movies from Oliver Stone, and I don't think he only makes gold, so it was like just genuinely a bad movie. Alexander is like 4.5 hours or something like that in this cut, and it didn't feel like it. It was an amazing human drama, understanding, like, you know, the ambition and just how you can just ruin it all in many ways. It was just a really, really good human drama, really well put together. That doesn't just hold up. It was a terrible movie when it came out. It turns a terrible movie into an absolute must-see, and I'll probably watch that again in 1 or 2 years. It is just an amazing movie. One surprising for me, Alien Prometheus. That's about as good as it's always been. Don't really need to talk about that. But Covenant, for some reason, I actually thought Covenant was really good. I just was really enthralled with sort of like the world building and the whole story of David and his experimentations and the coming about of the alien. But I don't know, in amongst all of that, I sort of didn't recognize that this is just a crappy movie. Covenant is just, it's really lame. It's really not that complicated. And putting aside the world building, it's just not a very good movie. It's basically a slasher. Let's see, Angry Birds 2. So there's going to be some family movies in here. Angry Birds 2 is okay. Angry Birds 1 is must-see. Angry Birds 1 is like sort of like anti-woke. So in terms of family films, it's pretty rare to have a film that sort of, you know, says, you know, sometimes getting angry is the right thing to do, and sometimes like unfettered immigration from people completely different cultures may not be the wisest choice. especially in these cases, like factually, they're going to come and eat our eggs. So Angry Birds 2 is like, it's not very good, but it's not the worst. Basic Instinct, Paul Verhoeven, super sexy thriller. Man, Catherine Trammell and Sharon Stone. This is just an absolutely incredible movie. It holds up today. Super sexy, super unique. A whodunit sort of thriller, San Francisco romance. It's an incredible movie. Blood Diamond, that holds up. It really holds up. There's not much special effects to it, so that's one that just holds up very, very well. Blood Father, this is Mel Gibson. Do not watch that movie. I'll never watch it again. It's just such a basic and naive sort of action movie thriller sort of thing. It really has no heart, despite it involving like family and stuff like that. Boondock Saints. This is like a 16-year-old's wet dream, I think it was described by critics at the time. It still is. There are some aspects of it that are fun, but it is an incredibly stupid movie. Nobody has to watch it. Watch it if you just love Willem Dafoe enough. His character still is the most amazing thing about that movie. Bourne Identity. I watched that last week, actually. Bourne Identity, holy cow, it holds up. And it just reminds me of just how bad like the 007 movies are. It sort of indicates like why Mission Impossible sort of went the way that it did. That being said, nothing really touches Bourne Identity. I think that's still sort of like the best action spy film ever. Doug Liman does a really good job of doing his director signature, which is kind of like this sort of mind-bending sort of time travel sort of stuff, regardless of there's no time machine, but sort of the whole amnesia stuff or retreading, your backtrack and figuring out stuff, what you're going to do in the future. It's a really mind-bending and fantastic thrill ride, that one. The big issue is like it spawns a franchise, and I love Paul Greengrass, who takes over directing for the rest of the movies. It just gets so stupid compared to the first movie. So there's two ways to go about it. You watch Bourne Identity and don't worry about any of the other movies, or you watch them all and just be content with Bourne Identity sort of like stands on its own, and the other movies are sort of like, they're just sort of cheap action thrillers. Braveheart, always fantastic. I don't think I need to go into that. That still holds up. Casino. This one didn't hold up. I thought it was a little bit, I was looking forward to it now that I live in Las Vegas, and I thought it would be a little bit more telling about like the history of Las Vegas. And reality is it's like so focused on just a couple of characters. It's really almost like a small tale with a big setting. And I just don't feel that it's as good as it used to. I used to think of like Casino somewhere up near Goodfellas. It really isn't. Chappie, Neil Blomkamp film. You may be familiar with some of his work on Elysium, and that is another movie I saw this year. But Chappie is seems like a sort of almost throwaway sideline movie, but this is actually easily Blomkamp's best movie, and genuinely a fantastic movie. My son loved it, despite all like the swear words and stuff like that. It was a brilliant movie. Seeing how they incorporated the couple that adopt Chappie. And I was blown away because I knew those people as being like YouTubers, like music YouTube. I've seen the music videos and stuff, and they play themselves or play those characters in the movie. I'm like, how does this happen? So very, very, very good movie, Chappie. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, kid classic. To me, that holds up. A lot of people might be like a little like upset with just how much music there is, and there's a lot of music. I like the music. I like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. My son liked Chitty Chitty Bang Bang enough to watch it 3 times in a row. Christine, Stephen King, Carpenter. That holds up to me. Special effects are still really good. I still wonder like how exactly they did that in terms of the construction of the car. Christine is a must see. I'll probably watch that at least, once every 3 to 5 years, something like that. Conjuring, I think a Wan film, so the first one based on a true story. Really clever horror, actually, very, very clever. I'm not really into horror, but I would admit that this one is relatively clever and subtle and not just using full-on tropes. That being said, I'm not really into like, oh, this was a true story, so it doesn't translate to me a bit, but I recognize it as being very watchable horror, and I've got The Conjuring 2, may watch that coming up. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, this has not aged at all. This gets you so pumped. Like, it's just such a beautiful film, and the fighting in it is just so incredible. And after seeing Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, just like the rest of the world, I just wanted more wuxia films, I just wanted to see more of that. And the issue is like, and at the time there wasn't more of that. Like, we got crappy movies like Hero and House of Flying Daggers just in hopes of capturing a little bit of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon again. And everyone wanted to see Zi Zhang again. Anything, she's like, oh, we got to see Zi Zhang. She's going to do some fighting and martial arts. And nothing ever lived up to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, even though there were like follow-up sort of knockoffs, basically. Da Vinci Code, this was a surprisingly fun romp, including the sequel. Although the first one I think is better just based on the subject matter. District 9, another Neil Blomkamp film. It's okay, good sci-fi overall, looking at social issues. I'd say Chappie is just better and more pertinent now, with AI and stuff like that. Rewatched Eastbound and Down season 1, as hilarious and ever. Because it's HBO, a lot of people simply haven't seen it. Eastbound and Down, easily one of the funniest American comedies of all time, in my opinion. Elysium, I do want to talk about this because very, very disappointing. It had a lot of good premise. I like this idea of elites versus everyone else. I think this is really a theme of our times, and a lot of Korean movies are getting into that. But it was just based on some really faulty mechanics, like just the idea that once you get up to this Elysium place, that healthcare is basically free, infinite, and perfect. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole movie being based around that. There's some structural things. People have gone into that. I would say Elysium is like, only if you really love Neil Blomkamp would I watch it again. But I'll probably never watch that movie again. And I love Jodie Foster so much, and in this movie I love her, but it's the mechanics of the story are just so poor that it's hard to really say much more about that. Equalizer 3, so the trilogy, and I guess completing. I don't ever expect them to make another Equalizer after every Equalizer movie. Like, they're not going to make a follow-up to that. Absolutely awesome, much better than Equalizer 2, not better than Equalizer 1. So if you haven't seen Equalizer 1, you definitely should see Equalizer 1. To the extent that maybe Equalizer 2 is skippable, might be skippable. I'd say just watch Equalizer 1, then Equalizer 3. Maybe you can go back to Equalizer 2 if you haven't had enough of a kick. Rewatch Ex Machina, very pertinent now with AI, being right in the forefront. I realize now, looking back, there's a lot of sci-fi stories talking about, AI supremacy and just taking over the world. It's just a very common idea that's been around for a very long time. And now that we're seemingly closer to a dangerous area of AI, this stuff is a lot more pertinent. Very interesting, still a very good movie. I really like that director's stuff. Him as a writer as well. What was his name again? Alex Garland. So not all of his stuff is perfect, but he explores the areas enough that are good. So he did a TV series a few years back called Devs, and this really played into the idea of the world as a simulation and determinism, and experiments with quantum stuff, like quantum suicide. Very, very interesting concept. Not all of it explored properly or accurately, but not bad. to just touch on briefly, like the idea of like the multiverse and you know, yeah, let's not get into it, it's too deep. It's not deep and spiritual, but basically people substitute this idea of the many worlds theory of how, you know, quantum physics works as being one where everything and anything is possible. And that's actually not true at all. Everything that is, what it basically is that everything that is possible will happen, but things that just aren't within the realm of physics can't happen. So there isn't a quantum world, there isn't a different world or a different version of you that can fly and is like Superman or something like that. That's not based on physics. It's not how the world's split within quantum stuff, and it's not based on people's decisions either. It's like, oh, I'm going to go this way and then I'm going to go that way. It doesn't work like that. You always made that decision in every version of the world. Face Off. So I've gotten into John Woo this year. Face Off was, it holds up. It really holds up. It's a lot of fun. Not much more to say about that. Fargo, that was fun, comedic. Having lived in America now, I can't tell if their accents from like, you know, that Wisconsin area, if the accents of the actors are accurate, but I get the feeling that they're not that accurate, that it feels a little bit corny and cheesy. So that's probably more fun as a foreigner, perhaps. Rewatched Ford vs Ferrari. That was a fantastic movie, very rewatchable. Yeah, excellent movie. Now, another movie that I didn't see on Blu-ray was Gran Turismo. That's a fantastic movie. Gran Turismo is really, really good. Another true story. Yeah, solid movies. Galaxy Quest, fun. Still very, very funny. It holds up. My son liked it, so I ended up putting that in the family box. Gran Torino, Clint Eastwood playing an old guy, neighbor to some Hmong people. That was better than I remembered it. It's very, very touching. Harold and Kumar go to Guantanamo Bay. This wasn't quite as good as I remember. I think what happened was I remembered certain parts from Harold and Kumar do Christmas or something and merged it with this one. This is still a lot of fun, but I thought it was going to have the pancake robot, so I was a little disappointed. Gravity, yeah, okay, you know, definitely a cinema experience. So there's a lot of you know, really good sound ultimately. Now I don't have the Lux Eterna edition or whatever it's called that has the Atmos track. I wish I did, but it's not really worth paying more money for that. Hostel 2, I picked up this movie so that I could show my au pair, and she was going to a hostel. Hostel 1 and Hostel 2 are good movies in my book. Hostel 2 sort of like really sort of twists things up. It's not a masterpiece or anything, but it was interesting. I Am Legend, Will Smith, still good. You know, some aspects of it don't hold up. There's a lot of CGI in there, but still an okay movie, especially for, you know, a zombie movie. I think they really should have used the alternate ending as the real ending for that one. Independence Day, mostly terrible, you know, but whatever. Inside Man, I really enjoyed this one again. This one has like a whodunit quality, which I thought my au pair would enjoy. Like, it was very hard finding movies that she would like, and I thought this was one that was very, very interesting. Like, has a lot of twists and smart stuff. But it seems like there was a TV series in Spanish that basically ripped off Inside Man, and so she knew most of the plot twists, which I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. For her, if she knows something about it, it sort of ruins it completely for her. To me, I just still enjoy it. Like, I rewatch it, I know all the plot twists, but I still really enjoy seeing it unfold. still really good, holds up, a lot more pleasurable to watch than It Chapter 2. Jarhead, really good movie about the first war in Iraq, Gulf War One, and the experience of a soldier. I still love just how unique that movie is. Jaws, that holds up. Jaws absolutely holds up. You know, who doesn't love a shark movie, you know, and this is the original and the best. The Jerk, always funny. Jersey Boys, watched that last night actually, fantastic sound. Jersey Boys, I watched the West End musical in London and was just completely blown away by how good that cast was. New York cast sucks in comparison. Jersey Boys, a movie, very, very good. Good watch, really good music, great soundtrack on Blu-ray, super good soundtrack. John Wick 4, this was interesting, a very long movie. What I really liked about John Wick 4 was like the last third of the movie was basically the entire, it's like a remake of The Warriors, basically. And so I had to buy The Warriors, and I bought The Warriors and rewatch it. My wife didn't understand it at all. Look, I don't pretend to understand The Warriors either. Joker, every bit as powerful as the first time I saw it in cinema. Joker is just absolutely killer performance. Talking about the killer, got the killer, Chow Yun-fat, John Woo. You just have to be a schoolboy to watch that movie, basically. There's a whole bunch of people getting shot a lot. Killing Them Softly, Andrew Dominik, same director as Chopper. That was a good watch. I would definitely see it. It's got a little bit of flair. There aren't really any problems with it, but it's just a small movie. You would expect like if Brad Pitt being in it that maybe it was like a bigger movie, but it's a small movie and it's a lot of fun. Night and Day, Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz with Mangold at the helm. I remember this movie being a really fun romp. Second time around, it's like 80% of that, so it's like diminished rewatch value totally. Lone Survivor, that's still an absolutely incredible movie. Really gives you a lot to think about, despite being, you know, a movie with just a lot of pew pew. Man from U.N.C.L.E., you know, so a spy movie, so based in the 60s. Henry Cavill, yeah, really fun. Not that great on rewatch, but still a lot of fun. Like the banter and the comedy around it is quite good. The Martian, Ridley Scott, Matt Damon, very good, very, very good. I don't like some of like the woke aspects to it, but you know, they made a disaster fun and it holds up on rewatch. It's thrilling. Mile 22, this was a Mark Wahlberg film with like, I think a Malaysian actor and a little bit of like martial arts and stuff. Terrible, absolutely terrible. Natural Born Killers, Oliver Stone, very controversial movie, quote unquote, written by Quentin Tarantino, although he disavows it. Still really good. I find this sort of heavy-handed look at the media and culture and our relationship to it being not so pertinent now, quite frankly. We're getting into a new era of media and stuff like that. Hopefully this whole story of like networks and stuff sort of dies down a little bit. We get a little bit closer to reality. Navy SEALs, Charlie Sheen. This is actually a really good movie. Yeah, it is what it is. It's not like a super real take, but you know, it's not trying to be more than it is. It's a solid movie. The other guys, always funny. Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell, one of the best ones. Predator holds up every single minute of that movie. It's just classic. Rambo holds up. First Blood. Oh no. So this is well, I did watch First Blood too. That's a rewatch like every single year. Rambo, the 2008 movie, I think. That's incredible too. Really, in the Rambo series, I would just say Rambo First Blood and then Rambo. Those are the only two out of the series that you really need to watch. Also saw Rambo First Blood Part 2. That has a lot of like bow and arrow stuff. A lot of fun, but not necessarily a must watch. Requiem for a Dream. So I've been getting into Aronofsky stuff, or at least showing my wife Aronofsky stuff. This was overrated when it came out. It's still overrated, but it's still watchable. It's such a heavy-handed take on drugs. It's sort of pathetic. Rescue Dawn, about POW in Vietnam. It's Vietnam. Christian Bale. That's just an incredible movie. I'd love to see all of Werner Herzog's films. I've been having trouble finding Werner Herzog stuff on Blu-ray. I really want Grizzly Man, for sure. I really, really want Grizzly Man. Reservoir Dogs, you know, Quentin Tarantino's first movie, still like so much style. This is his best movie still, my opinion. By far his best movie. The Revenant, holy cow, this was incredibly good movie. It was just so hardcore. It's just like, why would this guy die already? Oh my God. That was really, really good movie. Probably would rewatch. RoboCop always hits you in the heart. Oh, sorry, hitting my microphone. Yeah, RoboCop, still fantastic. Shooter. I used to love Shooter a lot. And I love Antoine Fuqua films, so Equalizer and so forth, but I'm sort of getting tired of Shooter. I don't know, I've watched it too many times and there isn't enough in there, but you know, I just love its moments, like the conspiracy theorists, and you know, it's a cool movie. I want to see more. I'm probably going to start reading some of the books. Silence of the Lambs. Wow, like, I mean, we've got a whole series of Hannibal and stuff like that, but Silence of the Lambs, that still just kills it. There's nothing wrong with Silence of the Lambs. Sliver, this is an interesting one. So Joe Eszterhas film, you know, sleazy, slimy, you know, voyeuristic movie. What I felt was like, you just really want to see Sharon Stone be awesome again. Like, for some reason, they portray her as a prude at the start of the film. It was just like, this is just so weird. You know, Sharon Stone's just so sexy in Basic Instinct. Everyone just wanted to see her again. Sliver was, you know, it's a sexy sort of creepy, you know, film, and the voyeuristic aspects are interesting. What's really crazy about it is there is an original ending out there on YouTube that came out like decades later, showing them, I won't spoil it, but it involves a volcano. It's like, it's mind-blowing, and people nearly died for the alternate ending that was never used. And they should never have used it. It was a horrible ending. Watch some Star Trek, watch the Star Wars series. Not really much to say there. The original Star Wars movies are what they are. I've never thought they were fantastic. They're good. Starship Troopers, that holds up. It holds up. It's probably more pertinent now, like with our awareness of like media and stuff like that, the sort of full gung-ho, let's go get him sort of stuff. Like we're a little bit more aware that that's not really what the movie is on the surface. So I think Starship Troopers really holds up. Super Mario Bros. Movie, man, Illumination just killing it. My son's gotten really into all of the Minion stuff, and you know what? Those are actually good quality movies. So yeah, Minions are basically the new Pixar. Superman, I think I watched that twice this year. The original Superman still holds up. No one beats Christopher Reeve, and no one really beats that first movie. It's still my number one choice for superhero movies of all time. Maybe Joker comes in there, you know, 1 or 2. Did watch Superman 2 and Superman 2 The Donner Cut. Obviously a very flawed movie with its production bullcrap. It's okay. It's just nice being able to see Christopher Reeve. Donner Cut does away with a lot of the campy stuff, so it holds up a little bit better. Superman Returns, unwatchable. You know, Bryan Singer's heart was in the right place, but ultimately it's unwatchable. Swordfish, that was fun. You know, what can I say? It's fun. Swordfish, not objectionable. Very weird portrayal of, you know, computer hacking. Very weird. Tears of the Sun. This holds up. You know, Antoine Fuqua, Bruce Willis, and it holds up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Michael Bay produced, I think, maybe directed. Yeah, good TMNT film. Total Recall always holds up. That's something you can watch like twice a year. You still won't get old. Training Day. Oh man, this is an absolute banger. Training Day, another Antoine Fuqua film. It's kind of hard. What the hardest part about watching Training Day is knowing that there is no real follow-up to it, that you can't get more of it. That Training Day is just a day in the life of these two guys, and it's not, there's no follow-up. There's always been rumors of like a Training Day 2 or something like that, but absolutely incredible film, very hard-hitting and gritty, lots of human drama and choices. In a lot of ways, some of the themes were explored in Sicario, about like a good law enforcement agent trying to do good, but in reality, like they're pathetic. Transformers, What Chose of My Son, they're still almost incomprehensible, but I watched a little bit of the original Transformers series, the cartoon, and the Transformers movies does a good job of owning that sort of content, that the original content was really crazy as well, like, you know, Transformers dating back millions of years and interstellar conflict and stuff like that. It's like, it was never going to be a cheap popcorn flick in terms of how complex the plots were, so it's acceptable. Tron Legacy, man, that movie just rocks the sound system and it looks so incredible. Is it a good movie? It's probably like a 7, but just for visuals and sound alone, it's worth it, especially on sound. Universal Soldier, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, the original. I got a hoot out of this. My wife didn't as much, but I really, really enjoyed it. You know, I guess you just have to be a 16-year-old. W, so biopic on George W. Bush, I think while he was still in office, with Oliver Stone. Really, really good movie. Really, really good movie. And it just shows you how human people are at the top. I mean, a lot of people might mistake it as being just sort of a real knock and just a full-on bash on W, but I think it's respectful. He's not a genius and he never claimed to be himself. There's some, you know, W-isms in there, but it just shows you how human and flawed people are at the top, as well as their motivations are not at all aligned with the actual good of the country. Like, they're aligned entirely with like making the public happy, which just means like getting votes. You know, it's, you know, it may be cynical, but I think that's just reality. The Whale, another Darren Aronofsky film, his latest, with Brendan Fraser. I was really expecting something special and, you know, exciting out of it, and it was sort of, I don't know, it was like as if someone was copying copying Aronofsky, and Brendan Fraser was just doing his best. It doesn't really come off as something, you know, next level cinema, which a lot of Aronofsky films really are. It's a lot closer to sort of Requiem for a Dream in terms of level of, you know, getting out there and doing something new. And so it's like, it's kind of interesting, but at this point in Aronofsky's career, it's like a huge setback in my opinion, despite the Academy Awards. The Wrestler remains my most favorite film of Aronofsky by far. Has a lot more heart, explains a lot more about wrestling and Americans and life. Watched all of the good X-Men's, X-Men, X-Men 2, Days of Future Past, and First Class. These are all fantastic movies. And last but not least, Triple X with Vin Diesel. This is a guilty pleasure. I really like Vin Diesel, and Triple X, honestly, it was a better watch than Skyfall. All right, that was my list. Please comment down below. I'd love to talk to you about this stuff. I might set up a live stream. We can talk about some movies. I think going forward, I'm going to do a movie recap once a month or once a quarter, something like that. I can't wait for the end of the year and do like 104 movies and spend less than like 10 seconds per each one, just to try and get through the full list. Some of these really deserved a little bit more attention and a little bit more highlighting so that you guys can see it, and maybe up some production value. You know, a lot of my time is spent watching movies, and a little reflection is warranted. Okay, until next time, see you around.